Hello and welcome back to my decades themed spreads in my bullet journal. I've done this already for the 60s and 70s, the 80s and 90s, so if you want to see those, I'll link them here. This is the last video in the series because I did a different decade theme for each week in April. The last 2 weeks I did 40s and 50s. I started here with a weekly habit tracker and goals spread, and it was inspired by Amanda Rach Lee's 50s diner theme. I definitely didn't get that checkerboard in the April sign quite right. I made the checkerboard too small, but oh well, it took absolutely forever too. Those star-like decorations that you can see there were really hard for some reason. They look really easy to draw, but I just couldn't get them quite right. But luckily you can see there, if you use a pastel color, you can't really see the details too clearly. So I combined a few different elements that I found from Pinterest as well, which I'll link in the description. One of the things I love the most about doing the different decades in my bullet journal is discovering all the different fonts and typography. I tried a few different ones throughout these spreads. For the font, for the habit tracker, I did this neon sign type of typography, which was really fun to do. For my weekly habit tracker, I decided to do a checkerboard as well. I didn't really think it through because obviously I'm not going to only complete every other habit, and you need to have that every other one filled in to make a checkerboard, so you'll see I tried to fix it by coloring the other spaces in with pink and blue colors, and it ultimately kind of failed, but that's fine. And then I just added more random mid-century shapes and stars, and that was the weekly goals and habit tracker spread. Like my previous 2 decades videos, I also did a few different 40s and 50s looks. This style is definitely my favorite out of all of the different decades. For this first look, I just did some light makeup. I filled in my brows. I did a red lip, of course. I feel like I look super weird with red lips. I don't know. I have a resting bitch face, and red lips just makes it a lot worse for some reason. Then for the hair, I attempted to do this like easy ponytail I found on Rachel Maxey's channel, but my hair just really hates to do anything that I tell it to do ever, so I got really frustrated and just did whatever and called it a day. For the outfit, I put on a high-waisted capri pants and a cropped collared denim shirt that I tied at the waist. We decided to recreate a 50s diner for Mother's Day this year, so we made hamburgers, fries, and we made Mom a chocolate milkshake. It was really fun. So for this weekly spread, I again combined a lot of different design elements from other bullet journal spreads, as well as pictures of actual signs from the era. On the opposite page there, you can see there was a lot of bleed through. This was a Lloyd to Term notebook, so I ended up doing a collage on that page. I have an extreme amount of magazine clippings because I can't get rid of anything, so I chose a mostly black and white theme with some pops of the turquoise and pink color. And then in the blank spaces, I drew some more checkerboard and some random doodles, and I added some of my bandeau stickers. For the second look, I really tried to create a more authentic 50s look, and I used my mom's actual vintage lace gloves, which would only be for going out in special occasions. The purse is my mom's too. It's definitely not a vintage purse, but it's the same shape and size as a typical purse from the time, and I wore some of my mom's pearls. I found this circle skirt at the thrift store. It's 100% not authentic. It's from that store Rainbow, but the silhouette is definitely right. And I did a little faux bang ponytail for my hair. Apparently only teenagers wore their hair long or in a ponytail in the 50s. And that is the second look. For the next week's goals and habit tracker spread, I tried to create my own thing just by using reference photos from the time period, and I used more of my stickers. I like how this spread came out, but I'm frustrated by the color palette I chose. I don't like the orange color. I also majorly messed up the little retro trailer I drew, and I basically had to use whiteout on half of it and then draw over it, but luckily it turned out pretty okay. This last look is what I'm calling my modern rockabilly look. You know those people who dress in the style every day and they just totally rock it? Well, I've always secretly wanted to do that, but I can't commit to it, so I lived out my dreams for one day. Unfortunately, my hair, like I said, hates everything, so I spent like an hour curling my hair and setting it, and then it immediately went straight again when I combed it out, so I just put it up in the back into a French twist thing. And in the front, I did victory rolls. So for my research, victory rolls were only really popular in the 40s, but nowadays you see the style used as a general vintage hairstyle, so I embraced that and did my first victory rolls, and I think they turned out pretty well. I wore my floral dress that I bought in Krakow, Poland, and I had it custom tailored to fit me. It's definitely my favorite souvenir that I've ever gotten while traveling. And this is the final look. For the last weekly spread, I basically copied a spread that I found on Pinterest, which I'll link below. And I included stickers that actually were the inspiration for wanting to do a 40s, 50s themed spread at all. Again, I didn't love the color scheme, but it ended up being fun and colorful. And here's the final flip through. I had so much fun doing the different decade themed spreads and really bringing them to life with all the different looks and food and everything. So if you want to check out the other decades in the series, here they are. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like it and subscribe to see more. Thank you, bye.